The life I had painstakingly built, brick by emotional brick, crumbled with a single, devastating revelation. My wife, Vivian, the woman I had devoted 14 years to, had been unfaithful, and the echo of her betrayal resonated through every corner of our once sacred home. Raised in a household where unwavering loyalty was paramount, I always embraced the sanctity of diligent effort and commitment, carrying these principles into my adult life. As the progeny of a steelworker and a teacher, I observed firsthand the immense sacrifices my parents willingly made for our family, weathering economic downturns and personal hardships with quiet dignity. They instilled in me the belief that relationships, much like the formidable structures my father helped erect, necessitate a robust foundation and ceaseless tending, a philosophy I held as an unshakable truth. When I encountered Vivian, a vibrant and seemingly grounded woman, I genuinely believed I had discovered an individual who espoused these identical principles. Our affection blossomed swiftly, fueled by shared dreams of a simple, honest life. We soon cohabitated in an unpretentious dwelling, a small, slightly ramshackle house we painstakingly repaired and decorated ourselves, pouring sweat and laughter into patching leaky roofs and painting walls late into the night. It was there, amidst the sawdust and the scent of fresh paint, that we began crafting a shared existence. In due course, our lives expanded, initially with the arrival of our two daughters, Claire and Daisy, whose innocent joy illuminated our days, then with the establishment of the enterprise into which I poured my very essence, transforming a modest idea into a thriving business. The journey wasn't without its challenges, moments of financial strain and exhaustion, yet I never once questioned the resilience of our connection, the bedrock of our family, at least not until the initial fissures, subtle at first, began to surface. Through bitter experience, I came to understand that providing her financial support was considerably less arduous than enduring the alternative. Possessing my own firm, a testament to years of tireless effort and calculated risks, meant that alimony would be an undeniable certainty if she remained unemployed. And while my daughters constituted the most vital aspect of my life, the impending monetary burden threatened to curtail the invaluable time I could spend with them, forcing me to work even longer hours to meet her demands. Compounding the situation, there was a distinct possibility she could assert a claim to half of my business, leaving me to subsist on less than a third of my earnings, a prospect that felt like a deliberate act of financial strangulation. The thought of losing control over the legacy I was building for my girls, just to appease her, churned a metallic taste in my mouth. I departed from my lawyer Samuel's office feeling utterly vanquished, the weight of the potential financial ruin pressing down on me. As was often the case, Vivian, with her uncanny sense for drama, had already anticipated my arrival home, probably tipped off by a friend or merely sensing the shift in the air. When I eventually caught up, her expression was coolly impassive, almost bored. I've been engaged in this for 8 months, and it hasn't caused us any detriment. He's a remarkable lover, simply different, she appended, her voice devoid of any genuine remorse. I'm unsure whom I'd ultimately choose, but contemplate carefully before you act. Consult a lawyer. If we dissolve our union, it will be absolute hell, and I will personally ensure it. The audacity of her casual revelation, delivered with such chilling detachment, made my gut churn. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a carefully orchestrated sabotage. I gazed at her, striving to comprehend the individual before me. The woman standing there, coolly delivering ultimatums, was not the Vivian I had implicitly trusted for 14 years, the Vivian who had shared my dreams and built a life with me. At least, I mused, the furtive glances and quiet anxieties were over. I would no longer need to conduct myself furtively. You'll still command a majority of my time, she stated. But I won't disregard Leo. I'll devise a schedule. The sheer arrogance of her scheduling my life around her affair sent a jolt of ice through me. I rose abruptly and exited the house, making my way to the street, and she pursued me, her voice cutting through the evening air before falling silent upon sighting Ms. Albright, our elderly, observant neighbor. I offered a polite smile and nod to Ms. Albright, feigning composure, and Vivian hissed, "Get over here now," her voice laced with venom as I continued to walk away, a triumphant sense of defiance slowly taking root. 2 days later, I returned to find a self-satisfied expression adorning her face, as if she expected me to simply fall back into line. Our daughters, Clara, now 13, with the burgeoning grace of a young woman, and Daisy, 11, still full of innocent wonder, were overjoyed to see me, their hugs a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. I devoted the entire evening to their company, trying to absorb their warmth and shield them from the silent tension that permeated the house. After they had retired for the night, Vivian presented me with a beverage, a conciliatory gesture I found utterly repulsive. I found myself utterly disinclined to accept anything from her. "I'm relieved you regained your composure," she announced, her tone assuming my acquiescence. "We'll resume our former life, but I'll occasionally have dates. No one will ever discover." I could no longer restrain myself. The controlled tremor in my voice betrayed the fury simmering beneath my calm exterior. "Here is the prevailing situation," I began, each word a hammer blow. "I am remaining until Clara reaches 18, then I depart. Daisy will be perfectly fine, and perhaps she'll choose to reside with me. Regardless, I am out." I paused, letting the finality of my words sink in, then continued, "I am finished with you. I will not engage in intimacy with you again. You have metamorphosed into an entirely different person, a stranger I no longer recognize. I am relocating to a spare room, and I refuse to discuss this matter further. I will cultivate my own life, and if I encounter someone, so be it. However, you require employment, or Leo had better contribute to your expenses. Our daughters will receive everything they require, but there will be no more joint accounts. My finances are now separate entirely." Her visage drained of color, her self-satisfied smirk crumbling into disbelief, then contorted in a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. "You are an absolute cad," she spat, her voice rising to a shrill crescendo. "I still cherish you and desire our continued togetherness. This is utter madness. Things will not change. They already have," I retorted, my voice cutting through her outrage. "Now, retire for the night." She shot back, her eyes blazing with spite. "If your paramour doesn't prove suitable, you'll be quite sought after at Fairview and Grand. You might wish to ponder that at a later juncture." The thinly veiled threat, implying I'd be looking for prostitutes, only solidified my resolve. Subsequently, I caught her on the telephone conversing with her lover, her voice low and conspiratorial. Without a moment's hesitation, I seized the device from her hand and declared, my voice strained but firm, "I possess your number. I will ascertain your address, and we shall discuss our shared interests. Do not fret about me inflicting harm upon you, but you will assuredly not desire a relationship with her once you know of her infidelity and the calculated depths of her betrayal." I terminated the call abruptly and pocketed the phone, a small, bitter victory. Vivian uttered not a single word when the girls entered, drawn by the commotion, and inquired about the door's condition. "Merely moisture," I explained, gesturing vaguely. "I will rectify it tomorrow." Once the children had departed, their innocent questions a stark contrast to the venomous silence, I prevented Vivian from retiring. "I am retaining your phone until tomorrow, and I will be scrutinizing your account. Good night." She hissed, "Good luck," I replied, a sardonic smile playing on my lips, knowing full well she had no inkling I had installed a keystroke logger on the computer. Soon, I possessed all her electronic correspondence, her entire search history, and a detailed list of her acquisitions from the preceding year. She had been far too imprudent, leaving a digital breadcrumb trail of deceit. Her lover, Victor, was employed by Willow Creek County as a permit checker. They had first met when Vivian sought a permit for my workshop. Truly, my private sanctuary, a space where I could retreat to work on projects, play billiards, or watch athletic events when the domestic atmosphere became overly charged. She had been compelled to return several times for subsequent meetings, which swiftly escalated from playful banter into clandestine coffee, rendezvous, and midday meals. On occasion, she, not he, initiated the proceedings, actively pursuing the affair. I meticulously secured all the incriminating evidence, encrypting the files and dispatching them to my office computer for safekeeping, and then, surprisingly, retired for the night. Against all odds, I slept soundly, the clarity of my purpose a strange comfort. In the morning, I prepared breakfast as the girls chattered about school and boys, their innocent chatter a stark contrast to the grim reality I was facing. They were engrossed in pop groups, and I paid scant attention, fortunate that they were still too young for any serious entanglements. Clara, now 13, was beginning to attract male attention, so we permitted her to walk with friends, supervised by one of us. We hoped this would assist them in avoiding impulsive decisions once they were of dating age. Daisy, or Daisy as we affectionately called her, was too young for such matters, but we ensured she enjoyed ample supervised social interaction through sports, dance, band, and drama activities, fostering a sense of community and healthy independence. I delivered the initial bombshell at breakfast, watching Vivian's face carefully. Girls, I regret to inform you, but I have acquired new responsibilities at work that will demand earlier starts and later finishes. Your mother will be your primary driver for the foreseeable future, as she is currently not employed. She will have the requisite time. Vivian attempted to object, her eyes narrowing, but the girls promptly sided with me, a small victory in itself. They were disinclined to commute with their friends, particularly after some rather uncomfortable past experiences involving crowded cars and unpleasant older boys. Vivian did not yield readily, her thinly veiled resentment palpable, but I recognized this would become a recurring pattern. Her lover's visits predominantly occurred during the day, after the girls had departed for school, leaving her ample time for her illicit activities. If you believe this ordeal is concluded, I stated to Vivian later, my voice a low, chilling whisper, you are mistaken. And it is not an error I am committing. I added, a cold satisfaction in my tone. I have wired the entire residence for both audio and video surveillance. Invite your lover here, and it will be broadcast online within the hour, complete with timestamps and locations. She was still speaking, her mouth agape in disbelief and fury, as I departed. I subsequently reviewed the video footage of her agitatedly searching for the concealed cameras. It proved quite diverting, a perverse form of entertainment. I also inadvertently overheard several telephone conversations, including one with her lover. He sounded distinctly uncomfortable as she ranted, her voice growing increasingly shrill. He's sabotaging everything. He canceled all my credit cards, and our bank balance has plummeted to $280. The electricity bill is due today. We may have to resort to Plan B. Her lover, Victor, ever the cautious bureaucrat, preferred to wait. If we depart now, he reasoned, his voice laced with apprehension, we will be destitute, and everyone will ascertain the reason. Let us proceed cautiously, reside in pleasant homes, and preserve this secret a little longer. Vivian was clearly displeased by this response, the phone slamming down in frustration. So much for devotion, she muttered later, a chilling indictment of her own deluded expectations of loyalty from her paramour. She then attempted to arrange a meeting at his residence, but he demurred, his apprehension about the house being wired now fully ingrained. I believe him, he insisted. We cannot afford the risk. When their conversation ceased, she sat looking bewildered, her elaborate fantasy of a perfect escape crumbling before her. She had harbored hopes for an ideal existence, but reality was swiftly encroaching, a bitter pill to swallow. I checked on her later and found her at the computer, pounding frustratedly on the keyboard, realizing I had locked her out. "Fool!" she shrieked, inventing every profanity she could conceive, her face contorted in a mask of impotent rage. I contacted her, feigning innocence, my voice dripping with calculated sarcasm. "Hello, darling," I enunciated. "You appear to be having a splendid day. Your computer is secured tighter than the citadel, and your phone is on the verge of disconnection. But do not be alarmed. I have ordered you a new one. It will arrive tomorrow." "You imbecile!" she screeched again, but I disconnected the call before she could utter more. I overheard the remaining particulars via the sophisticated surveillance system my technologically adept friend had installed while Vivian was with her lover that night, leaving no stone unturned. When I presented her with a new, state-of-the-art phone, she smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes that I found almost comical. The following day, I detected her frustration as she attempted to utilize it. The phone incorporated a safety feature intended for children, which proved perfectly advantageous for me, its limitations a subtle but potent weapon. The sole numbers she could dial were the school, my office, our medical professionals, her mother, my parents, and emergency services. Any endeavor to dial another number would result in a 30-second disconnection before rebooting. She ascertained this when she attempted to call her lover, and once it rebooted, I called her. "Hello," I stated, my voice calm and devoid of emotion. "I presume you've discovered the phone operates only with pre-programmed numbers. It's rather challenging to reach your paramour without a phone or computer, isn't it? I would offer an apology, but unlike you, I do not prevaricate. Here is a proposition: secure employment. You will require one if you wish to shop. I will attend to the children, but you are responsible for everything else on your own. Perhaps now you will finally wear those garments with the tags still affixed, the ones you bought and never touched." I ended the call before she could respond, savoring the silence that followed. Upon my return home, the atmosphere was glacial, thick with unspoken resentment. She struggled to maintain composure around the girls, putting on a brave face, but once they were asleep, the pretense dropped, and we descended to the basement, the unofficial battleground. She screamed and issued threats, her voice hoarse with rage, but I merely smirked, unyielding. Then, her tactics shifted, and she commenced weeping large, theatrical tears. "Please, cease your cruelty," she sobbed. "I did not intend for this to happen. He is merely a fleeting liaison. I will revert to loving you. It did not harm you previously, and it will not now. It is only a few hours each week. The remainder of the time, I am entirely yours. Come to bed with me tonight and permit me to demonstrate my continued affection." The sheer audacity of her emotional manipulation was breathtaking. I chuckled, the hollow, bitter sound. Do you know, I explored online for rationalizations for infidelity? There is even a publication titled The Cheater's Handbook, offering counsel on managing illicit relationships. You have employed numerous excuses contained within it. It just occurred. It will not impact us. It is merely an affair, and the piece de resistance, threatening to dismantle his existence if he does not consent. She appeared conflicted, her face a mask of shame and indignation. But before she could retort, I proceeded. "Let us assume I acquiesce to your scheme. What do I gain? I still bear the financial responsibilities and perform all the labor, but now I must share you with another individual. As a businessman, that constitutes a poor arrangement, a terrible return on investment. You get to indulge in pleasure with him, and I simply toil and await. That is not going to transpire. Since you have declared an open marriage, I too shall be seeking companionship. There is a sales representative with whom I have been conversing. She is dedicated to fitness and participates in marathons. The next time she calls, I shall invite her to lunch. I will explain that we have an open marriage and that you have maintained a lover for nearly a year now. She appears quite open-minded. I could discern that the barb regarding her weight had stung, despite my calm delivery. After 2 children, she was somewhat softer than when we initially met, but that was her prerogative. If she abandoned the couch and attended a fitness center instead of engaging in endless retail therapy, perhaps circumstances would differ. She appeared visibly shocked, her jaw slack. Why? Why do you require someone else when I am right here? I still love you. The mere notion of you being with another person pains me. I responded coolly. I have been faithful for 16 years, but that was insufficient for you, was it? Do you genuinely believe I was delighted upon discovering your infidelity, that my world didn't shatter? There is a designation for men who permit their wives to amuse themselves with others while remaining loyal, just as there is a designation for women who engage in similar behavior. The promiscuous express has officially been derailed. Ponder that. I am retiring to bed, she hissed at me as I departed, her voice laced with venom. At least one of us must work. I understood the imperative for a coherent strategy before she truly endeavored to ruin my life and manipulate the situation further. I contacted an old friend, Marcus, the son of our former neighbors, who, though socially awkward, possessed extraordinary computer acumen. He had been developing games since the age of 14 and had amassed a fortune by his early 30s, a brilliant but eccentric mind. He now resided with his wife, Eleanor, in a multi-million-dollar mansion, their sprawling estate a testament to his genius. She was stunning but not the sharpest intellect, though undeniably kind-hearted. I had introduced them several years prior at one of my gatherings, a chance encounter that blossomed into an unlikely romance. At that party, Marcus had announced his engagement to Eleanor, the daughter of one of my most significant clients, a woman who, despite her breathtaking beauty, was somewhat naive to the complexities of the world. Marcus had always been a timid, reserved individual, but after meeting her, he finally found the courage to propose. Their wedding was scheduled for June 17th at St. Andrew's Chapel in Riverside Heights. He gazed at her with a proud smile, and she clasped his hand, beaming, as he made the announcement. Vivian did not immediately elaborate on the specifics, but she conveyed to him the desired ring style, and the following day, he provided her with a credit card. She proceeded from there, designing a life of luxury and comfort. They had been together for 8 years, and their daughter, Lyra, was 7. My girls adored her like a younger sister, spending countless weekends at their estate. It was not uncommon for me to return home and observe a luxury SUV in the driveway. Its driver, Zura, engaged in conversation with Vivian. She would invariably smile and smirk upon seeing me, her eyes hinting at secrets. Zara, a former military operative, was resilient, appealing, and exceptionally skilled. She held black belts in 3 distinct martial arts and was an accomplished pistol marksman, a force to be reckoned with. At one point, she was employed by me, managing logistics and security, but I could perceive her boredom, her spirit yearning for more challenging endeavors. One day, Eleanor visited to discuss a social function, brimming with plans. I was occupied in a meeting, so Zara kept her company, a whirlwind of energy and ideas. By the time I concluded, I had lost an employee to Eleanor, another triumph for them, as Zara found her niche. Zara ultimately resided in a compact, purpose-built apartment on their expansive estate, distinct from Marcus and Eleanor's primary residence, offering both independence and proximity. However, when a kidnapper attempted to seize one of their children, Zara promptly shot him in the head with chilling precision. The incident was discreetly suppressed, Marcus leveraging his considerable influence to keep it out of the papers, but the assailant had been armed and posed a credible threat, making Zara's actions a clear act of self-defense. Zara was exonerated, and from that point onward, she became Lyra's dedicated bodyguard, a silent, unwavering protector. My girls occasionally vacationed with them, enjoying the lavish amenities and Zara's exciting presence. But Vivian consistently contrived an excuse for us to remain behind, ostensibly for family time, though I suspected it was to keep me isolated from Marcus and Eleanor's influence. I knew Marcus was taken aback by this turn of events, but Eleanor was not. She appeared preoccupied whenever I encountered her, a subtle tension around her eyes. And at our most recent gathering, I observed her in the garden in close proximity to another guest, a handsome, distinguished man. She quickly distanced herself upon seeing me, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. I was uncertain if they had been kissing, but I did not confront her about it, recognizing the precariousness of her own situation. We typically dispersed at such events to engage socially, and I had noted her absence, assuming she was elsewhere. However, upon her return, she remained by my side for the entire evening, a silent acknowledgement of her transgression. Later, Marcus and I discussed the situation, the complexities of our intertwined lives. "What precisely do you desire, Ethan?" he inquired, his gaze piercing. "Above all, I wish my girls to remain central to my life, and I desire her to profoundly regret her actions. Our relationship is irrevocably over, but she has yet to fully comprehend it. When she does, I want to ensure my financial security so I can provide for my daughters without constant threat." I responded, my voice firm. Marcus then inquired about the house. We had acquired it at a substantial discount, approximately 60% of its market value, due to the elderly owner's neglect and a general decline in the neighborhood. We had invested significantly in its restoration, pouring hundreds of thousands into upgrades, and it was now valued at twice our expenditure. Vivian would undoubtedly contend for it post-divorce, seeing it as her rightful share. Vivian had previously suggested I reconfigure the basement into a self-contained apartment with independent wiring and a separate driveway, creating a space where I could lead my own life yet still spend time with the children, a seemingly generous offer. She believed it would be easily justifiable in court, given the girl's involvement, a clever maneuver to maintain her advantage. "Zara, ever practical, propose an alternative. I can manage this. I will make their lives utterly miserable for you, no problem." I was disinclined to pursue that course, unwilling to stoop to her level of vindictiveness. "Let us adhere to Plan C." I stated a more measured approach. Zara was not enthusiastic, but consented, her respect for my moral compass outweighing her desire for immediate retribution. Before departing, she cautioned, a surprising softness in her voice. "She has developed an affection for you now, Ethan. Be vigilant when you are unattached." I was surprised. I had always admired Zara, but I had not realized she harbored feelings for me, a thought that brought a flicker of warmth to my wounded heart. The house was registered under my name, which proved advantageous as I was the primary income earner, giving me significant leverage. After conferring with contractors and a shrewd legal professional, I resolved to remodel the basement into a more elaborate, soundproofed apartment, a sanctuary for myself and the girls. I also established an allowance for Vivian, precisely enough for her to socialize, but not for unlimited expenditure, a calculated financial leash. I took her luxury car in for servicing and, under the guise of maintenance, installed a GPS system equipped with remote shutdown capabilities, ensuring she wouldn't stray too far, literally or figuratively. I observed that Vivian's lunch breaks were progressively lengthening, her casual dismissals growing more frequent. She would go out with friends, then furtively slip away to Leo's residence for a couple of hours, thinking herself clever. One day, patience exhausted, I tracked her via GPS, and as she approached his dwelling, her car, just a block away, I remotely disabled her vehicle, cutting the engine dead. She telephoned in a state of panic, asserting the car would not start, her voice laced with genuine fear. When I inquired as to her location, she claimed she was across town, spinning a flimsy lie about merely stopping by a friend's house to retrieve her bag from a shopping excursion. I permitted her to fret for a moment, letting the anxiety build, then instructed her to attempt starting the car again. She complied, drove a few blocks before it stalled once more. When she finally arrived home, her face pale with understanding, she grasped the situation. I knew, and I was in control. Subsequently, I recorded a vociferous altercation between her and Clara, our daughter, during which Vivian, in a fit of pique, forcibly ejected Clara from the room, slamming the door. The sight of our daughter's distress, Clara's tear-streaked face, pained me profoundly, but it was too late. The emotional damage was done. When she inquired about the basement, sensing the ongoing renovations, I informed her I was preparing it for the girls, a space for them to enjoy. She erroneously inferred that this signified my acceptance of her affair, another testament to her self-absorption. Vivian, ever resourceful but equally careless, acquired a new phone, which I strategically tampered with to facilitate tracking, knowing her patterns. It became evident that she and Leo were formulating an elaborate scheme to abandon their respective spouses and cohabitate in my house, with me unwittingly bearing the majority of the expenses. My calculated actions, however, had disrupted their elaborate plans, throwing a wrench into their selfish desires. Vivian, now genuinely terrified, wished to terminate their liaison, fearing I would undertake drastic measures that would expose them both. Her lover, Leo, dismissed her concerns, his arrogance blinding him, but she was apprehensive about the repercussions, particularly given his county employment and the potential for public scandal. She suggested I take a month to reflect, a transparent attempt to buy time, while she tried to salvage her increasingly untenable situation. I resolved to utilize that month to finalize my strategies, meticulously planning my next moves. I arranged a discreet meeting with Arthur, the county commission chairman, under the guise of discussing relocating my burgeoning business. I informed him that Willow Creek County offered more compelling incentives, a well-placed lie designed to perturb him. He was loath to forfeit 89 jobs in his district, especially during an election year, when every vote counted. I explained I was encountering inexplicable difficulties with zoning and permits for my expansion and required his immediate intervention to avoid a costly relocation. Then, I delivered the bombshell, my voice steady and unwavering. Your zoning manager, Victor, is engaging in an affair with my wife, and I possess incontrovertible proof. Arthur appeared visibly deflated, his political instincts screaming, fully cognizant that the scandal would be a quagmire, potentially derailing his career. I possessed both video and audio evidence of Victor's inappropriate conduct with Vivian, explicit enough to ensure his swift downfall. I articulated my demands, his immediate resignation and the unobstructed, expedited approval of my remodeling blueprints. Arthur consented, his face grim, assuring me he would investigate, and I informed him I would defer further action until after the election, giving him just enough rope. Our relationship was irrevocably altered. Henceforth, he would dread my requests for a meeting, knowing a demand was always imminent. Another relationship jeopardized, another life upended, all because of Vivian. The seminar for my company proceeded as planned, a testament to my team's efficiency, and I entrusted the contractor with the administrative duties for the basement renovation. Construction commenced the following day, a constant reminder of the new boundaries being established. Vivian seemed indifferent, likely preoccupied with other concerns, perhaps still attempting to salvage her affair. She attempted to reconcile, asserting she was bored, felt unattractive, and was lonely as the children matured, trying to evoke sympathy. She apologized, claiming she had merely made a mistake with someone who exploited her vulnerability, a flimsy excuse. I retorted, my voice devoid of warmth. What transpires when the girls depart for university and you experience boredom once more? You could have discovered purpose, volunteered, joined a literary club, or sought legitimate employment. Instead, you opted for infidelity, a destructive path. How is that working out for you now, Vivian? I unequivocally stated I would not engage in intimacy with her. Our marriage was on life support and destined to fail. She fled the room, weeping, her theatrical tears doing little to move me. In the ensuing weeks, Vivian comported herself as the quintessential wife and mother, a performance for the girls. We even undertook a family excursion to Wonderland theme park, feigning normalcy for their sake. However, matters deteriorated when we prepared for bed at the hotel. I had reserved a room with separate beds, making it abundantly clear we would not share, a stark symbol of our fractured relationship. She alluded to divorce, her voice laced with a subtle threat, and when I handed her the pre-prepared separation papers, a cold silence descended, and I knew a confrontation was imminent. I collected the girls early from school, their innocent faces unaware of the storm brewing, and drove them to the local park, a neutral ground. They intuited something was amiss, sensing the tension, but were unaware of who was at fault. I gently informed them I was moving out, my voice soft but firm. They cried and implored me to remain, their small arms clinging to me, breaking my heart. I reassured them I would not be relocating far and showed them photographs of the new apartment I had established in the basement, complete with its own entrance and amenities. It was not as elaborate as their vibrant rooms, but it would always be available to them, a safe haven. They were excited at the prospect of decorating it, their innate resilience shining through. Upon our return home, Vivian was incandescent with rage, her screams echoing through the quiet neighborhood. The neighbors, accustomed to our formerly peaceful household, contacted the police. I remained outside, presenting the officer with the divorce papers and calmly elucidating the situation, omitting the most sordid details for the sake of discretion. I alluded to infidelity, but refrained from providing specific details. Vivian erupted, her voice reaching a fever pitch, but I maintained my composure, a stark contrast to her histrionics. The officer, a seasoned professional, sagaciously requested her to remain outside while I escorted him to view the apartment. When we opened the girls' bedroom door, they were tearfully huddled on the bed, frightened by their mother's outburst. I comforted them, assuring them their mother was merely distressed, but would soon calm. The officer nodded, his expression sympathetic, and informed the girls their mother was feeling better, a small lie for their comfort. Afterward, the officer commended me for doing the right thing for the children and advised me to always prioritize their welfare, recognizing the difficult situation. Upon our return, Vivian, miraculously, had regained her composure, her face a mask of false contrition, and asserted her outburst was a testament to the depth of her love for me, a transparent attempt at manipulation. The officer reiterated the paramount importance of the children's well-being and extended his best wishes to both of us, then departed, leaving us in the charged silence. Vivian waved at the officer as he departed, then turned to me, her eyes blazing with fury, and hissed, "Living room now." She stormed inside, and I seized the opportunity to lock myself within the house, engaging deadbolts and latches on both doors, securing my sanctuary. The new lower door was soundproof, ensuring her screams would not penetrate, granting me a measure of peace. The girls remained with me until bedtime, their presence a comforting buffer, and I reassured them their mother was fine before they retired. I called Vivian and stated, my voice calm but firm, how you treat the girls now could profoundly impact your future relationship with them. Ponder that carefully. I ended the call, and the night proceeded without incident, a truce established out of necessity. Vivian, finally recognizing the gravity of the situation, retained legal counsel, and we met in court for the formal proceedings. The judge, a weary woman in her 40s with discerning eyes, inquired as to the grounds for my divorce petition. I explained that Vivian had been engaged in an affair for 9 months and, upon my discovery, had brazenly refused to terminate it. I also mentioned my inability to expose our daughters to such a lifestyle, implying the instability and moral compromise it represented. I possessed video and audio evidence, legally acquired, to substantiate my claims, leaving no room for doubt. The judge turned to Vivian, whose face was ashen, and who hung her head in defeated silence. "Mrs. Travers," she stated, her voice firm but not unkind, "you will need to make some crucial decisions. If you genuinely wish to salvage your marriage, reflect deeply on your actions and the consequences. For the time being, this constitutes a trial separation. You have 90 days to decide whether to reconcile or file for divorce, a cooling-off period." After the hearing, Vivian and I exchanged a few words in the parking lot, the once familiar space now charged with unspoken pain. She conveyed a sense of profound sadness, not merely anger. "I always envisioned we would part holding hands," she confessed, her voice barely a whisper. "But now I realize that will never occur." For the subsequent 3 weeks, we lived separately. Her upstairs, me downstairs, a strange, uneasy truce. The girls steadfastly refused to permit her entry into my apartment, a silent but powerful vote of no confidence, which greatly vexed Vivian. One day, I knocked on her door, breaking the routine, and asked her to follow my lead, hoping to foster some semblance of normalcy for the girls. The girls, eager to cook, prepared dinner, and we all partook of the meal together, a rare moment of shared family. Vivian complimented their culinary skills, a genuine smile on her face, and assisted with the cleanup, a small step towards reconciliation. I showed her the apartment, her eyes widening at the transformation, and the girls adapted to the new arrangement, inviting friends over on weekends, filling the house with laughter. I even installed a swimming pool, rendering our residence even more popular, a hub of teenage activity. Some parents observed our unconventional situation but refrained from comment, although a few subtly hinted at romantic interest in me, which noticeably irritated Vivian, a flicker of her old jealousy returning. One evening after a gathering, Vivian confronted me furiously, her face flushed with indignation. "What were you thinking? That woman practically climbed into your lap," she fumed, pointing a trembling finger. I calmly retorted, my voice cutting through her anger. "How embarrassing would it be if your spouse were engaged in an affair and everyone was aware of it? I think that's considerably worse. Wouldn't you agree, Vivian?" Vivian was taken aback, silenced by the truth, but I relished witnessing her discomfort, a measure of vindication. I avoided contact with her thereafter, though I continued to monitor her via her phone and daily activities, a lingering habit born of necessity. It appeared she had 2 lovers but was left in solitude for months, a melancholic and, paradoxically, somewhat amusing observation. After Vivian's emotional release, she wept in her sleep, the sound a low, pathetic murmur, unaware I had placed her phone on a wiretap. When a telemarketer called, jarring her awake, she attempted to rectify the situation, mistakenly believing it signaled an improvement in our relationship, oblivious that it foreshadowed the imminent dissolution of our marriage. The election had concluded, and the new county manager, keen to make his mark, pledged to overhaul the budget and weed out corruption. Victor was quietly dismissed after the commissioner viewed the video I had provided them. It depicted him explicitly detailing his intentions for Vivian the next time they met, a gross misuse of his position. They terminated his employment without a recommendation, warning him he would never again work in local government and might even face legal charges, his career in ruins. Naomi, Victor's former wife, contacted me, torn between fury at her husband's betrayal and a strange sense of guilt about his downfall. "Did you have to do that?" she inquired, her voice trembling. I responded, my tone empathetic. "He should have considered the consequences before engaging in an affair with you. And his wife will be perfectly fine. She secured a good position." Victor's wife, a gentle woman, was utterly devastated by his infidelity and dismissal. I extended a job offer to her, stating, "It is not your fault he betrayed you, but I feel a degree of responsibility. If you wish to depart, I can assist you. If you wish to remain, I will offer my prayers for you, supportive presence." She expressed profound gratitude, still in shock from the upheaval. 3 days later, she called, her voice more resolute. Victor had not informed her of his dismissal, continuing his charade. When she confronted him, he nearly assaulted her in a fit of rage, but she threatened to summon the authorities, and he fled, a coward to the end. She had emptied their accounts, a preemptive strike, but I ensured his children lacked nothing essential. She inquired if the job offer was still valid. It was, and she commenced working for me the following week. She adapted rapidly, her intelligence shining through, working half in the office and half remotely, which aided with her children's schedule. My staff observed the changes. Most conveyed sympathy, but Serena, who harbored an intense dislike for Vivian, caused a scene at the company party, a dramatic but oddly satisfying moment. Subsequently, I reprimanded Vivian for her past behavior, especially since she had initiated her affair with Victor around that time, exacerbating an already strained situation. Vivian apologized, feigning contrition, and Serena, surprisingly, accepted a fleeting truce. Serena later confided in me, her eyes sparkling with indignation. "You are far too good for her. She was consistently cruel to women when you were not present, a true viper." She hinted she would take care of Vivian if it came to it, referencing her past employment as a casino dealer, a dangerous glint in her eyes. Serena was a confident, stylish redhead, 12 years my junior, in a serious relationship with a commendable individual. I promised to walk her down the aisle and finance their honeymoon, fully aware she held no romantic interest in me, but recognizing her loyalty. One day, when we were alone, a playful moment in the office, I playfully teased her, inquiring if her rug matched the drapes. She giggled, a genuine, infectious laugh, then playfully retorted about preferring smooth floors. We both laughed, and it brightened my disposition for the remainder of the day, a lightness returning to my spirit. The other women at work noticed my shift in demeanor. Serena must have shared the jest, because whenever I grew moody, one of them would endeavor to cheer me, a new, supportive dynamic in the office. I realized things had gone too far when our 60-year-old secretary, a sweet, elderly woman, made a joke about hairy rugs. Meanwhile, Vivian was struggling, feeling isolated without a lover, a husband, or any genuine connection, save for superficial lunches with former friends. After I nearly sabotaged her best friend's marriage by subtly exposing her affair, neither of them would even engage in conversation with her, her social circle shrinking rapidly. A month later, Vivian appeared at my door, her face drawn and tired, pleading for a conversation. I permitted her entry, offered her an imported beer, a rare, expensive brew, and she inquired about its nature. I explained it was a special, exclusive variety, hinting at my new, refined tastes. She then asked if I had turned violent, a desperate attempt to deflect. I jested about it, stating I favored quality over quantity, and mentioned how the girls consumed sodas and fruit juice, a subtle dig at her own habits. Vivian confessed she had been consuming more wine lately to cope with the profound loneliness, but was attempting to curtail it. I inquired why she was lonely, suggesting she should socialize and scratch an itch, her stunned expression revealing her shock at my nonchalance. She seemed astonished and asked if it perturbed me. I informed her it did not, as we were legally separated, and I had behaved similarly when we were still together, a sharp reminder of her open marriage declaration. She admitted she had not been with Victor in a while, and their relationship had concluded, ending with a whimper. I reminded her that she had gained considerably when she brazenly threatened to strip me of everything if I did not permit her to continue the affair, throwing her own words back at her. She began to weep, Real tears this time, but I sharply told her to cease. My patience worn thin. She then articulated her desire, a desperate plea. She wanted me back. She missed our family, the intimacy, the comfort, the life she had so carelessly thrown away. She implored for a fresh start, a chance to undo her mistakes. I allowed her to cry on my shoulder for a brief, awkward moment before she departed, requesting a hug, which I provided, a fleeting gesture of closure. Later, Clara and Daisy descended the stairs, their cheerful voices a welcome distraction, discussing dinner options. They ultimately decided on a Creole dish, and I suggested they invite Vivian if she wished to join, extending a cautious olive branch. After a brief disagreement about what to get, they went out to acquire the food, returning with a movie to watch in the man cave, our new family hub. After dinner, I savored my black and blue salad with blackened steak and blue cheese, a healthy indulgence, while the girls sampled everything, including from my plate, their appetites boundless. Daisy finally mustered the courage to try alligator bites, which proved surprisingly palatable, a brave culinary adventure. Afterward, we settled onto the plush leather couch, with both girls nestled comfortably between us, just like in bygone days, a nostalgic comfort. They selected a novel, a classic they were enjoying, and I found myself unable to suppress my laughter at a particularly amusing passage until Daisy nudged me to quiet down so they could enjoy it. Neither of them witnessed the ending. They both succumbed to sleep, snuggled innocently against us, their presence a precious gift. I glanced over to see Vivian quietly weeping, striving not to awaken Clara, a rare moment of genuine remorse. We kissed them goodnight and sent them home, stating I would remain there for a while, a subtle separation even in proximity. Everyone, even Vivian, kissed me goodnight as they departed. I sat alone on the couch, the silence pressing in, pondering whether I could ever truly trust Vivian again. What if she betrayed me once more? Would I be capable of weathering another heartbreak? Sleep soon overtook me, and by morning, I was still reclining there, a profound exhaustion settling over me. I took a refreshing shower while they finished the movie, a small slice of normalcy. Vivian was making a concerted effort, her determination palpable. She prepared my favorite meals, a deliberate act of thoughtful remembrance, and did not complain when I politely declined some of her invitations, respecting my boundaries. Our relationship with the girls was visibly improving, particularly when school commenced, and she took them shopping for new clothes and supplies, embracing her maternal role. I provided Clara with one of my credit cards for emergencies and school expenses, and Vivian utilized it frequently, but she did not overspend, demonstrating a new fiscal discipline. She was learning to adhere to the budget I had established, a sign of maturity. One day, Vivian requested a favor, a rare occurrence. "I've been contemplating," she stated, her voice softer than usual. "I wish to secure employment or volunteer. If I do, will you supervise the girls?" I embraced her, a genuine hug this time, truly impressed by her decision to take initiative. She had also been diligently attending the fitness center and was gradually regaining her former physique, her dedication evident. I supported her progress and even provided her with additional funds for workout attire and clothing, encouraging her positive changes. Vivian commenced volunteering for a prominent charity, assisting with events such as fun runs and galas, immersing herself in meaningful work. For the initial few months, these were primarily weekend activities, and I occasionally accompanied her, enjoying her newfound enthusiasm. As the weather cooled, most events relocated indoors and became more frequent in the evenings. I still attended some, but balancing work with these events proved exhausting, so I reduced my participation to 1 out of 3, prioritizing my responsibilities. Vivian appeared frustrated, so I inquired, "How would you feel if I compelled you to work with no sleep for 2 consecutive mornings?" A pointed reminder of my own past sacrifices. She displayed photographs from the events, her pride evident, and I gave them little thought. I trusted her now, or so I believed, and the cameras remained in place, though I had not reviewed them in weeks, a testament to my burgeoning faith. We were gradually rebuilding our trust, and I genuinely believed she was remorseful that she had learned her lesson. Then Eleanor called and invited us for the weekend, a welcome distraction. Vivian had a 2-day charity event, so we kissed her goodbye, wishing her success. She declined an invitation to stay with us, citing she would be too fatigued to drive the additional 35 miles each way. Upon our arrival, Marcus greeted us warmly, labeling me an idiot when it came to women, his usual blunt assessment. He informed me Zara was upset because I had not acted upon the signal she had transmitted when things went awry with Vivian, a surprising revelation. He also expressed his incomprehension as to why I had not simply permitted Vivian to depart, given her behavior. I explained that I remained with her for the sake of the children, not wishing for any scandal if I pursued full custody, prioritizing their stability. Marcus inquired about Vivian, and I informed him matters were considerably improved. She was more engaged with the girls, volunteering, and organizing her finances, a seemingly positive transformation. I had not yet moved back in with her, but I harbored hope for the future, a fragile optimism. Later, Eleanor drew me aside to converse, her expression serious. She mentioned their substantial contributions to charity, particularly for tax deductions, and that Vivian had approached them several times regarding her new role, seeking their endorsement. Eleanor then recounted a black-tie charity event they had attended where they observed Vivian backstage, coordinating the proceedings. As the evening neared its conclusion, Eleanor showed me a photograph of Vivian in an unfamiliar, undeniably expensive dress, standing beside a distinguished man named Oliver Davies, his arm casually draped around her waist. Eleanor explained, her voice tinged with disdain, he is affluent, charming, and attends these events specifically to meet women. He is exceptionally adept at it. He even attempted his maneuvers on me once or twice, but I was uninterested, seeing through his charade. I had a grim premonition about the direction this conversation was headed, my stomach clenching. I seized the opportunity, showed Marcus the damning picture, and we discreetly blended into the crowd of 500, our presence unnoticed. Most individuals were clad in elegant tuxedos and gowns, providing perfect cover, and we managed to capture a few more pictures, some of which were rather compromising, leaving no doubt as to the nature of their relationship. That is why we wanted you here, Marcus stated, his voice somber. We did not wish for you to repeat the same error, to fall for her deceptions again. Unlike most individuals who would remain silent and offer hollow sympathy later, Marcus and Eleanor were genuine friends, speaking up to afford me time for reflection, a true act of loyalty. I nodded, lost in thought, the bitter taste of betrayal resurfacing. The initial betrayal had caused pain, a deep wound, but this one, after everything I had done, after extending trust and hope, cut profoundly, irrevocably. My marriage was irrevocably over, beyond any hope of salvage. I thanked Marcus and Eleanor, my voice thick with emotion, then retired for the night, though I anticipated remaining wide awake, wrestling with this new reality. However, the moment my head touched the pillow, exhausted by the emotional turmoil, I drifted into unconsciousness, a blessed escape. By 6 a.m., I was awake, the grim clarity of my situation sharper than ever, contemplating my next course of action. The divorce was definitively back on. I would contact Samuel, the lawyer, on Monday and determine how to inform Vivian and, more importantly, the girls. I'll remain in the basement until Clara graduates. Perhaps Daisy will move in with me permanently. I mused, formulating my strategy. If Vivian possessed any sense, any shred of decency, she would agree for the girl's sake. But she does not. Time will tell. The subsequent 2 days were spent enjoying time with the girls, a desperate attempt to create new, positive memories, though we joined in the activities with Marcus and Eleanor. Eleanor had decided she desired horses, a new extravagant hobby, so they constructed a magnificent barn housing 6 horses renowned for their docile temperament, perfect for beginners. Marcus discovered he was allergic, much to his chagrin, so Eleanor, the girls, Zara, and I rode around the neighborhood, enjoying the serene landscape. For lunch, Eleanor had planned a delightful picnic by their pond, which could easily have been mistaken for a small, idyllic lake. Marcus met us with fishing rods, and I fished for a while before heading back to prepare our lunch. We practiced catch and release, relishing the fight the fish provided a small, simple pleasure. While fishing, we discussed business, the bedrock of my financial independence. I owed my company, the entire concept, to Marcus and Eleanor. It all began when Eleanor mentioned her perpetually dry skin, and I, a civil engineer with a penchant for innovative solutions, conceived the idea of creating a special shower wall with pulsating nozzles that not only washed and massaged, but also applied lotion, a truly revolutionary concept. It proved to be not only practical, but also immensely pleasant, a truly luxurious experience. Women who tried it adored it, praising its therapeutic effects, and Eleanor, ever the enthusiastic socialite, shared it with her influential friends. Eventually, they requested me to construct more, and Marcus, recognizing the immense potential, loaned me substantial capital to establish a business. I rented a workshop and hired 2 individuals, brimming with excitement. We fabricated custom shower walls, and word spread rapidly through word of mouth and glowing testimonials. High-profile clients, including performers and former first ladies, placed orders, eager for the unique experience. Within 2 years, we expanded to luxury hotels and professional sports teams, constructing larger units for opulent locker rooms. Marcus and Eleanor assisted me in securing international patents, ensuring our intellectual property was protected, and we even initiated legal proceedings against competitors in France and Portugal, ultimately acquiring their assets, effectively dominating the market. When the time came for my divorce, Marcus, with his financial acumen and legal team, shielded the company from Vivian's influence, preventing her from laying claim to its exponential growth. I was not enraged enough to destroy her utterly, but I was not going to reward her calculated betrayal either. I sold the company to Marcus, turning a substantial profit, and remained on as a manager with an excellent salary, maintaining my passion without the burden of ownership. Everything was transparent, legally sound, and life moved forward, a new chapter beginning. In the divorce settlement, I offered Vivian 60% of our liquid assets in exchange for waiving alimony and child support, a surprisingly generous offer given her transgressions. I calculated the cost with my new salary and set aside that amount in an escrow account specifically for the children's needs, ensuring their financial future was secure. I gave her a house valued at $800,000, with all utility bills paid until the girls turned 18, unless she remarried, a clear incentive. My lawyer believed I was being overly generous, his skepticism palpable, but I informed him I was considering the children, not Vivian, and he relented, respecting my decision. In the end, she received the house and $2.6 million, a deal difficult to refuse, a truly fortunate outcome for her given the circumstances, but she, true to form, did. I observed on the security cameras a final, grim act of surveillance as she opened the papers at the dining room table, her initial expression one of triumph. The first document was the divorce petition. The second was a damning photograph of her with her new lover, Oliver Davies, his arm around her, clearly intimate. I left her a crisp, concise note. I was prepared to forgive you, Vivian. I thought you had learned your lesson, that you had truly changed, but I was mistaken. I am offering you a generous settlement, far more than you deserve, and you will emerge ahead financially. Simply sign the papers, and we will proceed quietly. There is no need to contend for custody. We can share it amicably until the children are adults. I will remain in the apartment until Clara turns 18 and Daisy can decide where to reside. Take the papers to your lawyer and do not complicate this more than necessary. It will not benefit you to prolong this, only harm you further. Good luck with your future relationships. Just do not use me as a reference. I also sent her the same pictures I had provided to my lawyer, the very ones I had given to Oliver Davies' wife. Be cautious. This is an alienation of affection state, and a competent lawyer can seize the majority of your settlement. Let us hope she is not too severe for your sake. Vivian begged, pleaded, and begged again, her phone calls endless, but it was to no avail. My resolve was unshaken. Please, Vivian, I stated, my voice devoid of emotion, do not read me excuses from the cheater's handbook. You desired another man, and you obtained him. I'm not your contingency plan, a fallback option. It is over. Let us not exacerbate matters for the children. Simply sign the papers. In a few years, when the children are older, we will barely see each other. She wept, then grew enraged, her frustration boiling over. Her lawyer, a tenacious negotiator, wisely advised me to accept the deal and move forward, recognizing the strength of my evidence. You possess the evidence, and Vivian has been unfaithful twice. This is not a no-fault state, and if you press charges for infidelity, she will end up with considerably less, potentially nothing. Vivian, in a desperate, vindictive move, countersued for mental cruelty, alleging I had affairs with Zara and Naomi. Naomi, a woman of principle, threatened a defamation lawsuit, and Zara, true to her word, appeared at Vivian's door, a formidable presence, warning her to desist, her voice low and menacing. It will not be I, which, Zara declared, but I have some powerful associates who can make your life utterly miserable, make you disappear. You could simply vanish. Think with your head, not your backside. Vivian, now visibly shaken and terrified, retreated, her bravado evaporating. One more thing, Zara added, her eyes glinting with determination. After this is concluded, I am pursuing him. He embodies everything I desire, strong, gentle, and kind. I will bear beautiful children with him and construct the life I have always envisioned. Just so you are aware, a few weeks later, I was surprised when an unfamiliar woman appeared at work, her face etched with despair. She stated it concerned my divorce. After I initiated recording, a habit I maintained for legal protection, I invited her in. I am Beatrice Davis, she introduced herself, her voice trembling. I believe you are acquainted with my husband, Oliver Davies, the one who has been engaged in an affair with Vivian. I shook her hand, my heart heavy with empathy. I am sorry for what has transpired, Mrs. Davis. It is not my fault, and I am certain it is not yours either. You're a victim in this. Beatrice requested assistance. I hear you possess photographs and evidence that could be useful in my divorce. Can you share them with me? Provide me with your lawyer's name, and I will dispatch them immediately. She explained that her husband had cruelly emptied their bank accounts, leaving her with only enough for a modest house and clothing for their young son. She was not employed, and her future appeared uncertain, a desolate prospect. Once again, I had to rectify the mess Vivian had created, picking up the pieces of shattered lives. I contacted Samuel, my lawyer, and arranged a meeting for Beatrice. Samuel, I stated, I have another client for you, Oliver Davies' wife. Give me a time, and I will send her over. And incidentally, I am paying, so afford me a discount for multiple referrals. Certainly, Samuel replied, a note of amusement in his voice. Send her number. Text her when you are free. I turned to Beatrice, who seemed astonished by my generosity. Do not worry. He is proficient at what he does, and I can afford it. It is the least I can do for you to help you reclaim your life. If you require anything else, simply ask. She strove not to weep, but could not help it, tears streaming down her face, a torrent of relief and despair. I handed her tissues and permitted her to cry for a while, understanding the depth of her anguish. Naomi was at her residence, and I presumed she would comprehend Beatrice's anguish, having walked a similar path. I called Naomi, and she entered my office, her expression questioning. I introduced them, a strange but powerful reunion. You two share a commonality. My wife has been with both of your husbands. I will be absent for a bit. I left them alone for 15 minutes, allowing them to connect over their shared trauma. Upon my return, both women had me seated on the couch, and then, to my utter astonishment, they both kissed me, a light, grateful peck on the cheek. I had not anticipated that, a surprising testament to their gratitude. Beatrice spoke first, her eyes still red, but now gleaming with newfound resolve. I informed Naomi what a kind man you are, and when my divorce is finalized, I am coming for you. I was taken aback, completely speechless. You are my hero now, she continued, her voice firm. Naomi, ever the strategist, chimed in, Beatrice requires employment. She possesses a degree in international business relations, speaks French, Italian, and German, a perfect fit for that marketing position you mentioned last week. Naomi grinned, a triumphant glint in her eye. You can thank me with a substantial bonus in my next paycheck, and remember, I am her chief accountant, so do not even contemplate underpaying her. Vivian was furious when she discovered this, her rage echoing through the phone line. Is this vengeance? You are treating me abhorrently while assisting these women. I raised my hand, a gesture of weary finality. I have reached my limit with you, Vivian. My patience is exhausted. She snapped. What is your problem? Why are you doing this? Vivian, be silent. Are you listening, truly listening to the consequences of your actions? If you're not, this deal is off, and I will compel you to fight for every single penny, and you will lose. Do you genuinely believe that when I married you, I would ultimately support the women you destroyed, pick up the pieces of their broken lives? I continued coldly, each word a shard of ice. This is entirely your doing, and I am done. Do not speak to me again. If you must, converse with my lawyer. The girls will inform me if they need anything. She wept again. A futile display, but I was resolute, my heart hardened. The divorce is proceeding irrevocably. Before the ink is dry, I will be moving on. The girls require a positive role model, a stable presence, not you. Go ruin some other marriage. When you are finished, send the devastated women to me, and I will endeavor to help them. Perhaps they can initiate a support group. I possess ample experience in this unfortunate field. Goodbye, Vivian, I stated, and departed without even closing the door, leaving her to face the consequences alone. The girls detested the situation, caught between their parents' escalating conflict. I attempted to shield them, but they eventually ascertained the truth, piecing together the broken fragments of our family. They did not see Vivian for 3 weeks, refusing to engage with her, until I persuaded them to spend a weekend away with her. She is still your mother. She loves you in her own way. I'm certain not seeing you is paining her. It will be challenging, but do it for the family, for what's left of it. Daisy, appearing older than her 11 years, her eyes wise beyond her age, sighed, a world-weary sound. We will go, but you're mistaken, Papa. She betrayed us. We will never again have the same family. She embraced me tightly before walking away, her small shoulders slumped. Love you, Daddy. When did children become so sagacious and world-weary? I might need therapy for all of us to process this profound shift. It required 11 months and cost Vivian a staggering $600,000 in legal fees before she finally capitulated, signing the revised divorce papers. She requested an hour before signing, a final attempt at control, so I telephoned her. What could you possibly say that would alter anything now? If you are remorseful, I accept your apology. Otherwise, sign the papers. I am finished with the drama, with the endless arguments. Daisy was 12 and a half now, maturing into a beautiful young woman, her spirits still bright. Clara, almost 15, resembled a model, poised and intelligent. The pool and man cave gatherings still transpired, filling our home with laughter, but Vivian never attended, ostracized by her own choices. I was still paying for the house until Clara went to college, a final financial burden. I updated the divorce terms. The house would be sold, and the proceeds divided equitably. Vivian would still possess sufficient funds to live comfortably if she managed her money judiciously, a far better outcome than she deserved. Before the ink was even dry on the divorce papers, Naomi, true to her word, pursued me with a playful yet determined intensity. I attempted to gently dissuade her, using logic and reason. "I would adore to, Naomi," I stated, a genuine smile on my face. "But you are my employee. If things do not work out between us, it could become exceedingly awkward, impacting our professional lives. I will resign," she replied without hesitation, her eyes sparkling with challenge. I raised an eyebrow, genuinely surprised. "You will transmit your resignation email in approximately 5 seconds," I teased, playfully checking my watch. I laughed, but she was not deterred, her resolve unwavering. "You love your job," I continued, "and no one will compensate you as handsomely as I do." Naomi smirked, a confident tilt to her head. "I could marry a banker," she quipped. I retorted, "You could, but that might take a while if it transpires at all, given their demanding schedules." "Please cease," she said, laughing, finally admitting defeat, at least for now. I knew she was flying to France the following day for a business trip. "Perhaps you will meet a Frenchman there. There's a Gaston Du Bois out there seeking you." Naomi, however, found a new partner, another accountant, who proved to be her perfect match, and they are still meticulously tracking his performance. How many minutes he lasts, how many peak performances he could deliver. So far, it is accumulating a running joke between them. Beatrice took my offer seriously, embracing the fresh start. She found a Frenchman, a charming and supportive partner, and relocated to the sun-drenched Azure Coast to manage the European division of my former company. C'est la vie indeed. I navigated through life for approximately 9 months after the divorce, a period of quiet introspection and healing. I dated a few women I encountered through friends and social events. But apart from some physical gratification, nothing truly resonated, no deep connection formed. Marcus and Eleanor, my steadfast friends, looked after me, their home a sanctuary, and I spent time with the girls whenever possible, cherishing our bond. Zara departed for a few months, stating she loved them but needed to move on, to explore new challenges. It was a minor disappointment, but the girls simply smirked, a knowing look exchanged. 13 months after the divorce, Vivian became engaged to a man named Adam, whom she had met through her charity work. After her affair came to light and the subsequent scandal, the charity discreetly suggested she might be more beneficial elsewhere, and she, for once, took the hint. I had met Adam a few times. He seemed decent, a kind, unassuming man, and at least he was unattached when they met, a positive change. I was unsure of the veracity of Vivian's accounts of her past, but that was no longer my concern. The girls liked him, and he made no attempt to assume a paternal role, respecting my position. Sometimes he would take them to the cinema while their mother worked, a simple, wholesome activity, and I was pleased to observe their healthy adjustment to the new family dynamics. Then one day, the girls returned home upset, their faces clouded with disappointment. Adam had broken off the engagement. "Why?" I inquired, genuinely surprised. "Really, Dad?" Clara scoffed. "It's Mom. What do you think happened? She probably tried to control him too, or he found out about her past." I had grown accustomed enough to it that I no longer felt revulsion towards Vivian. The anger had faded into a dull acceptance. We could maintain civility, but I did not encourage her presence or her drama. I had dismantled all the surveillance equipment. It was no longer my purview, no longer my problem. But when Adam appeared, a fleeting, almost instinctive urge to reactivate it flickered within me. I wondered if she was still exhibiting those same expressions and sounds during intimacy with him, if her patterns of manipulation continued. Thankfully, I did not yield to the impulse, choosing peace over prurience. 17 months after the divorce, I returned home to find Zara seated casually on my couch, a familiar, welcome sight. She had stopped by to see the girls, her presence a delightful surprise. Clara, now 16, had just received her milestone vehicle, a rugged four-wheel drive utility vehicle, a sensible choice. She had selected it herself, a safer choice than most cars teenage girls desire. I conceded, even though I suspected it had something to do with Zara's influence. When Zara was younger, she had owned a similar, adventurous vehicle. Daisy rushed up to me, excitement radiating from her face, her eyes sparkling. "Daddy, guess what? Zara wants to take us camping. Can we go?" I was astonished. Daisy, the girl who would never contemplate getting dirty, now desired to camp in the wilderness. Zara grinned at me, knowing I was bewildered by the transformation. "You're genuinely going camping?" I teased. "I haven't seen you in almost 2 years. And this is how you return? Hijack my children and leave me abandoned?" Zara laughed, a rich, hearty sound. "You can come too. I will likely require assistance managing all the girls. I am taking Daisy, Clara, Lyra, and a couple of their friends, 9 girls aged 10 to 16. It might exceed my capabilities, even for me." I shook my head, smiling, my heart warming. "You can handle it. You always did enjoy running a military camp. But certainly, I will assist with carrying supplies and cooking. Count me in." I ordered pizza while they perused expensive camping gear online, their excitement infectious. I had a premonition this trip would prove costly, but worth every penny. Zara checked in every few days to ensure the girls possessed everything, even instructing them on how to erect tents blindfolded, a testament to her military discipline. Lyra was often with her, already exhibiting signs of being as sharp as her brilliant parents and resembling her beautiful mother, a perfect blend. I had not spoken to Vivian in months, a blissful reprieve. She had been dating other men and, with typical self-interest, sent the girls to my place when she had dates convenient for her. I was not thrilled, but the girls seemed content with it, preferring my more relaxed environment. One day, Vivian called, her voice clipped, wishing to discuss the girls. I knew this would not be pleasant. She arrived, getting straight to the point. "Cease turning my girls against me. I am weary of hearing about Zara. She can do this, she can do that." I had to suppress my anger, a familiar, unwelcome guest, but eventually found my voice, laced with biting sarcasm. I could not help but laugh, a short, sharp burst. "And this pronouncement emanates from a woman who has had a succession of lovers over the past few months? Do you believe they are too unintelligent to notice? Hypocrite." I paused, letting the words hang in the air, then added, "You need to attend to yourself, Vivian. Return to the fitness center. Do something with your hair. Do it for the girls, at least, if not for yourself." "Anything else?" I inquired, my tone dismissive. She shot me a searing glare, her face flushing crimson, and departed without another word, her dignity shattered. As I walked away from the porch, Zara pulled up, her Jeep gleaming. The girls rushed out, cheering upon seeing her, their faces lighting up. It was amusing to witness Vivian's face flush crimson with impotent rage as she drove away, a final, satisfying sight. "Why did you do that?" Zara inquired, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I smiled. "I have always wished to, and believe me, it was even better than I imagined. Honestly, it felt good to surprise her, to hit her where it hurt." As the girls arranged the table with fresh salads, I prepared the sizzling steaks and baked potatoes for dinner. After dinner, the girls hurried inside, eager for their movie, leaving me to clean up with Zara. I double-checked Zara's intricate camping list. How could something this complicated possibly be enjoyable? Zara loaded Lyra and her friends into her four-wheel drive vehicle. Clara did the same with hers, and Daisy and her friends took their own, a convoy of excited girls. It was crowded, but full of laughter. I was driving the support truck, laden with all the gear. Zara stated it would require 4 hours to reach our destination, a remote, pristine lake, but it was worthwhile. We were completely isolated with the bathhouse 30 minutes away. If anyone needed to go sooner, they would have to imitate a bear, a rustic solution. Zara took charge, and before long, for spacious tents materialized, expertly erected. I was instructed to store the food in bear-proof containers, which did not exactly reassure me, despite her calm demeanor. The coolers were secured in the cars, and Zara sprayed bear repellent around the tents and vehicles, a final layer of protection. Then I assembled the grill, the comforting smell of charcoal filling the air. By lunchtime, everything was ready, and the girls were giggling while donning swimsuits, eager for adventure. I drove back to the marina, retrieved the keys for a colossal pontoon boat, a behemoth of luxury on the water, and underwent an hour-long briefing on its operation. It was designed for 18 adults, so 9 girls and 2 adults would pose no issue. Ample space for fun. The next morning, Zara assumed breakfast duties, leaving me to chop vegetables for an omelet, her military efficiency impressive. She prepared incredible pancakes with buckwheat flour and fresh blueberries, a delicious start to the day. After breakfast, we all assisted with the cleanup, a team effort, and Zara took the girls fishing, teaching them the basics. The lake teemed with small sunfish, so everyone caught something, their squeals of delight echoing across the water. We took photographs, capturing their joyful expressions, and the girls jested about acquiring their own fishing gear. Soon after lounging on the boat, we returned to the marina for lunch. The girls wore sneakers over their swimsuits, mistakenly believing we were heading to a fancy restaurant. Oddly, the establishment served Italian cuisine, and we shared massive plates of spaghetti, ravioli, and meatballs, a satisfying feast. Afterward, we admired boats at the pier, envisioning future adventures. The girls shrieked with delight upon realizing the large boat was for them, but groaned when Zara compelled them to don bright orange life jackets. "We have a student driver," Zara quipped, winking at me. "Better safe than sorry." We set off slowly, and I heard Zara laughing on deck, a joyful sound. The girls were relaxed, basking in the sun, and we anchored in a secluded cove with a shallow, sandy beach, perfect for swimming. The boat featured a thrilling sliding board, and the girls took turns soaring into the water with delighted splashes. One girl, Victoria, could not swim, but Zara ensured she had a life jacket and accompanied her into the water, patiently guiding her. Everyone roasted sausages and marshmallows on the shore, while Zara quietly conversed with Victoria, offering encouragement and tips. After a while, I, filled with admiration, kissed Zara's cheek. Her smile illuminated the evening, reflecting genuine warmth. "For helping Victoria," I said, "you are going to be an amazing mother." Tears welled in her eyes, caught off guard by the compliment, and she swam off towards the bay, needing a moment alone. I helped the girls clean up the picnic area and ensured the fire was extinguished, leaving no trace. We slowly swam back to the dock, the setting sun painting the sky in vibrant hues, and Zara inquired if she had upset me with her reaction. I told her she had not, merely that her compliment had caught me by surprise, genuinely touching me. We had a light dinner, prepared by the girls with surprising competence, and Zara and I relaxed in camp chairs, snuggling close under the starlit sky. She told me about her new role co-owning a security firm, her eyes glowing with passion. I informed her I had sold my company, which surprised her, prompting her to sit up. It did not bother me, I stated. I entered into it to assist a friend. Marcus and Eleanor pulled me into it, And while I appreciated the loyalty and the success, it was not my true passion, not my life's calling. I simply desired sufficient funds to provide for my family and, later, for my girls, to secure their future. Zara squeezed my hand, a silent acknowledgement of understanding. I know you do not display it, but Vivian hurt you. I have experienced that too. My ex-husband abandoned me for a pregnant woman, my supposed best friend. At least he waited until I returned home, but still pained me, ripped my world apart. I was somewhat surprised. Zara had never before mentioned her past, and it instilled in me a degree of sadness, a shared vulnerability. Vivian had inadvertently taught me how to endure pain, how to rebuild, so I comprehended Zara's perspective, feeling a deep connection. We relaxed in the chairs until dinner was ready. I was grateful my girls knew how to operate the grill. Most of the others were clueless, a humorous observation. After dinner, Zara and I attended to the dishes, a comfortable rhythm between us, while the girls sang around the crackling fire, their voices harmonizing. It was peaceful, with no one else around to appreciate their talent, a truly private moment. The girls insisted we acquire a pontoon for combined birthdays, excited by the idea, and I did not object, already envisioning more trips. That night, I lay in the tent, listening to the gentle sounds of the wilderness, realizing I was the happiest I had been in a considerable time. I fell asleep with a smile, a sense of profound peace, and the next morning, we packed up, ensuring we left the campground cleaner than we had found it, a mark of respect. As we drove home, Zara and I held hands in comfortable silence, the promise of a future together shimmering between us. Approximately an hour from home, her hands still intertwined with mine, she finally broke the quiet. "I have been contemplating this for years," she stated, her voice serious, almost a command. "Here is the arrangement. You will marry me. We will have more children. I want a full house with you, and you will spend your life with me. If you do not desire that, I will depart, and you will never see me again. Oh, and incidentally, I love you completely and utterly. How you feel about that?" I paused for a moment, feigning consideration, a playful smirk on my face. "Allow me to deliberate," I teased, drawing out the suspense. Zara gave me a pointed look, her eyes narrowing playfully. All right, I have deliberated. Tomorrow, we will select a ring, and you will commence house hunting. I am not initiating married life in my ex-wife's basement, as comfortable as it is. Oh, and will you marry me, Zara?" She waited, her breath held, but then tears, genuine tears of joy, began to flow. The smug smile reappeared as she swiftly texted someone. Clara, who was driving another vehicle behind us, pulled over in shock, seeing Zara's reaction. Zara leapt out, pulled me into a fierce hug, and I saw Clara's message flash on Zara's phone. "Operation successful. Great job, troops." "Oops, you were not supposed to see that," Clara murmured, blushing and embracing me again, her laughter infectious. I sighed contentedly and closed my computer, the soft hum of the office a familiar backdrop. Realizing today marked my 60th birthday, my final day of employment. I was retiring, having accumulated substantial wealth through wise investments and the success of my former company, and it was time to embrace the next chapter. Daisy was collaborating closely with Marcus, learning the intricate workings of the business to eventually assume the role of CEO, her sharp mind perfectly suited for it. Clara, a brilliant engineer specializing in bridge construction, had found a wonderful life partner and adopted 2 young girls, my only cherished grandchildren. Daisy was still dedicated to her work, but appeared close to an intelligent, kind engineer she had met through her sister, a promising sign. Just then, Zara entered, her eyes sparkling, with our twin daughters, vibrant and full of life, soon to graduate high school and attend different prestigious colleges. Zara had been correct. Our children were beautiful inside and out, and they were beginning to forge their own distinct paths, strong and independent. Zara had retired on our wedding day to manage her burgeoning security company, then sold her share when she discovered she was pregnant with our twins, choosing family above all else. My former company had flourished as part of Marcus's empire, its innovative spirit continuing, and their insights frequently influenced business strategies, leading to even greater success. Zara paused at our wedding photograph, displayed prominently in the living room, where she and Eleanor stood with 9 bridesmaids, all in elegant floor-length gowns and, surprisingly, combat boots, holding a playful sign that read, "Operation Successful," a nod to our journey. We were headed home to Lake Serenity, where we had spent numerous cherished vacations, a place of peace and joy. 2 pontoon boats and a powerful speedboat rested at the dock, always ready for adventure, and the men from our camping trip often visited, reminiscing about Operation Lake Privacy, a code name for our secret bonding excursions. Privacy was a rare commodity in our bustling lives, but we had grown accustomed to it, embracing the chaos and the love. As for Vivian, the house, a constant reminder of her past, remained hers, and she was not content about it, constantly finding fault, but soon she realized her complaints would affect no change in my unwavering resolve. What truly exasperated her was that Zara, with a mischievous grin, purchased a house just a block away, a $500,000 residence with a sparkling pool and a luxurious hot tub, which was even featured in local magazines, a constant, irritating presence in Vivian's life. The first year of custody was straightforward, as the girls resided nearby, though they consistently preferred to stay with us, especially after their younger sisters were born, finding comfort and stability in our home. Vivian married twice more in desperate attempts to find stability, but both unions ended poorly. Her first marriage dissolved due to infidelity on her part, and the second gradually faded after a few years. A quiet, resentful ending. Naomi and Beatrice, ever compassionate, even tracked down her second ex-husband and offered her a job, extending the same kindness I'd shown them. We still occasionally encounter Vivian. She is quieter now, her spirit seemingly diminished, still clinging to old resentments, a shadow of her former self. Time has not been kind to her, and her habits remain unaltered. She still favors the shopping mall over the fitness center, choosing fleeting gratification over genuine self-improvement. "Dad, hurry up," one of the girls called, her voice echoing with youthful exuberance. "If we depart now, we will have time for a swim at the lake before dinner." I grinned, collected my final box of personal effects, and exited my office for the last time, stepping into the warmth of my family, ready to embark on the next, most fulfilling chapter of my life.